I have a friend who told me that technique lessens the honest, organic intimacy of writing. I guess I can see that. We tend to think of language in terms of lexicons, compiled and agreed upon by communal order. But within these syllabic confines, I can tell you that I remember my great-grandmother's hands were chitinous as a scarab beetle, pale as marble shot through with petrichor veins of ice blue, hard as the unearthed boy pharaoh, strong as a sea anchor, and exceedingly gentle, as were her eyes. And you can feel me through this. Languages are far more intimate and individual than a collection of generally recognized definitions. When I say anything, any word, what actually occurs is this. My experience with that word, that embodied concept, collides with yours, or we pass each other by. Either way, these letters we are writing to each other are each other. I am here, and there, through the looking glass, you say, here am I. I want to talk to your heart like I would only to a lover. I want to roll your smooth curvatures in my hand until I discover all your well-concealed edges, until I read your slightest quantum shift, as if it were a full revolution of paradigm. Your skin is braille under my carefully seeking fingers. The rain is pouring in sheets, and you are standing so very still. It doesn't touch you. And when you come for me in the stretch of night, so silent. Your quiet climb into my bed shakes the pillars of the earth. Let me feel the strength in your desperate embrace. Your hands are full of lunatic and iron. Cling with the abandon of drowning. Pull me under your inverted tree, growing from the starlit sky, toward me. It is enough to let me feel your struggles in your embrace, without naming them. It is enough to feel you. Let me hold you in thoughtless ease, and I will forfeit all the foxfires that glamour in my dragon constellation, and all that keeps us separate. A sentence is a syllabic molecule, joined by a miraculous fusion of prearranged notions, perpetually resequencing. And as you move toward me, I swear to fucking Christ, I see the rain part and kneel to either side. In particular, sequential modules without prior association we call abstractions, such as, tonight I strolled across the eye's Osiris at a slightly opaque boil, several grains shy of the sandalwood sun. Set placed his obsidian sea anchor upon my gravel-strewn shoulder, and whispered that death was imminent. His unfurling tongue slid between the thumb and index of the dealer's hold card, whiskers tickling the ivories with the unmusic steel arms of a mercenary subway turnstile, whose interlocking teeth hiss with a sudden, humorless dissipation that crushed two birds between stones. Hard eights rattling in a cup beneath a street corner rotating toward a dawn's watershed, devouring all 3 fork points west. At 3 a.m., I'm holding a barber pole by its spiral-striped hip, sucking on the final gasps of a can of ready. But one of the more intimate snapshots we frame into a simple expression of familiar words, conjuring a familiar experience. It's 4 a.m. when my mother returns from her work as a barkeep, and the light slides under the opening door, with its eye-racking ache. The exhaustion has seeped into her footsteps, which are quietly ponderous. I remember the slightly huffing hiss of her hands tucking the covers underneath the mattress, as they grew firm around me. I remember the comforting solace of their warm umber, drawing me with siren soliloquy back into the underground sea. And I remember your lips on my forehead. And I remember my dreams. And I remember how my first lover trembled as I slid in and out of her, having found some semblance of control and establishing a rhythm, expanding into an awareness of her breathing, and drinking in the dusk that had settled its raven wings just above her partly closed eyelids. Tell me one experience and you give me a puzzle piece of who you are. Here am I. Let me breathe the atmosphere that exists only inside of you, and I'll reach my hands into your cell structure, stand on the shores of your cilia, whose surf roars with millions of simultaneous birthings and dyings. In your every breath, I am here. So at this point, I'll ask you to consider that the formulation and verbal expression within a framework of learned language is a development of techniques, refined to the point where one learns to express our intent with as few precisely defined words as possible. And I remember the silent gulf that trailed your departing steps, already swimming with ghosts. Furtherance of technique, honing, redacting, allows a closer arrival at our more intimate understandings of how our sameness far outweighs all our differences. Give me your time-hardened hand, and I'll watch the small moons rise in your cuticle, and feel the whole of the universe emanate from your abdomen. It is enough to let me feel your struggles, without naming them. And I asked her, pour your pain into me to hold. That is how I imagine us, tangled in some captured camera obscura of limbs, noses pushed askew, mouths vertical, shorn, and wanting, glowing like struck coals in the dark, curtains drawn like protective wings about the room. The train holds up its finger, demanding silence, as it knocks along a distant track. I reach for all you've withheld in your mouth and uterus, as you lay me back and breach the dawn upon me. Outside, the smells of summer ripen like rice wine upon the chitinous exoskeletal epaulets of summer crickets, whom, just now, have begun to place the strings to their bowed legs to make their evening musics. And I remember everything in perfect, immortal stillness, like a photograph. Camera Obscura by Daniel Christensen.